Go ahead.
When I first started farming back in 1965, I could look out my window and almost every farmer around me was raising hogs. That's the way it was all over this state and all over the country. There was thousands and tens of thousands of family farmers raising hogs. They came up with the pork checkoff idea, farmer-owned, farmer-driven. We all thought it was a pretty good idea. It was voluntary. As time went on, I became more suspicious and others became more suspicious about the overall ideology behind the pork checkoff. In the 90s, it became evident that the big pork was taking over the ideology of the process. In 98, we had a crash. The hogs went down to $6. Fat hogs was down to $6, feeder pigs $1 to $2. I raised feeder pigs and fat hogs. At that time, in 98, I had about 9 or 10 feeder pig buyers from me. All of them fellas went out of business. I struggled, had a couple other guys buy some of my hogs, and finally I had to get out of the feeder pig business. I just wasn't working for me right. So I kept on raising fat hogs. The fat hog buying stations closed around me. I ended up only having one place to really sell my hogs. So the moral of the story is Big Hog took over under the guideship of the pork checkoff, and it just didn't plan out to me very good, and a lot of farmers, and now there's nobody around me. I think there's 1 or 2 neighbors probably 2 or 3 miles away from me that are raising hogs. But the hog situation in my area is there's no family farmers raising hogs anymore. So I'd be leery of any checkoff. It's not for family farmers, it's for the corporate ag. That's all there is to it.
So what happened when you guys tried to fight back against the pork checkoff?
We decided to get rid of the pork checkoff. So we went together, formed a coalition, and got a vote. 60% of the farmers in the state of Iowa, I think it was 61 or 62% actually, voted to end the pork checkoff. We ended the pork, so we thought everything was okay. Glickman was Secretary of Agriculture at the time, and we thought that we kept...
Under President Clinton, right?
Yes. Yeah. And we thought, well, golly, maybe we can get this thing, get him to change the policy, get him to, admit that everything was okay. Finally, they, in the fall they had the election. Bush took over, but in the, I think it was January of 2000, Glickman decided to terminate. 6 weeks later, Bush's Secretary of Agriculture, Ann Veneman, reinstated it. So then we sued, and we lost the court fight in the Supreme Court, but actually we really won because the voters, or the producers, really voted in it, but the Supreme Court and the government turned their back on us.
So there's still a pork checkoff. There's just less farmers. There's just less farmers to pay into.
And it's still, I don't think it's benefiting the family farmer, but it's benefiting Big Ag.
All right. Thank you.